Okay, we have been working with equations, starting with equations that were written in slope-intercept form, which slope-intercept form, oh goodness, let's get this written. Slope-intercept form. That equation is y equals mx plus b. Okay, you're going to have to know that by name. Remember, that's because whatever number is right here in front of the x is your slope, and this b over here is your y-intercept. So with this equation, it shows you where we start on the y-axis and how we move with our slope. We've done this. We also talked, I didn't mean to do that yet. We also talked about standard form. Standard form was ax plus by equals c. So for example, it was 2x plus 4y equals 12. That would be standard form. Now the problem with standard form is that if we're looking at a graph, we don't know what the equation of that line is just looking by standard form, or for what we know so far. So on our last assignment, what we worked on was taking our equations from standard form and moving them so that they were in slope-intercept. Whoops, slope-intercept. So let's look at this. So what did I have here? We've got 2x plus 4y equals 12. I want you to have that written down. Let's move our equation around so that we get it into slope-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. So what do we do first? We want to move this 2x to the other side, and I can't just put it over there. So I need to subtract 2x from each side, and I get 4y equals negative 2x plus 12. From here, we went through and we divided by 4. These canceled, and I got y equals. Now, at first, it's negative 2/4 x plus 3. Problem is, this has to reduce. And remember, if you don't remember how to reduce a fraction, you can put it in there and press math, enter, enter. And that will reduce it for you. So I get y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. Now with this, now I can do something with it. Now I can match it up with a graph, or I'm able to graph my line with what we know how to do. Remember that one of the reasons we talked about this when we looked at end of course exam tests, they're going to give us a graph, right? And they're going to give us a line. But the problem is all of my equations are going to be in standard form. And you have to be able to match them up and figure out what to do. That's why we're doing this. Let's practice one more. Let's do this. I've got this one in standard form. Please rewrite this into slope-intercept form. Do that now, please. Now remember, you need to move the negative 3x to the other side. So I add 3x to each side. Do not forget the negative in front of the y. So I have negative y equals 3x plus 8. Remember, these can't go together. That's one of the common mistakes. These are those little units when we use tiles, and these are the rectangles. Now, this y, I have to make it a positive y. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 1. A negative divided by negative is a positive. So I have y equals negative 3x minus 8. There's my equation in slope-intercept form. Now, let's look at problem number 7. So you'll flip your papers back over. We're on problem number 7 that has the graph. There's a couple different ways we can do this problem. But one way is, let me find the ordered pairs. So I have 4, 4, 4, 4, and 8, 6. Okay, so I just found those ordered pairs. One way we've done this in the past is, if I want to find the slope, I go up 2 and over 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 2 and over 4. 2 over 4, that reduces to 1/2. That is my slope. What other thing do we need to write this in slope-intercept form? We need the y-intercept. So I need to go backwards to try and find the y-axis. So if I do that, I can go down 2 and to the left 4. Ding, 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 ding. It hits the y-axis. My y-intercept is 0, 2. Now with these two pieces of information, I should be able to write my equation. I have y equals, my slope is 1/2 x, and my y-intercept plus 2. See, and how to check this, if you go into your calculator right now and go to y equals and type in 1/2 x plus 2 and press second graph, you should see both of these ordered pairs. And then you would know that you have the correct equation. Now, you can do that with a graph. We also should know how to do this from a table, meaning that I'll make a table. I have x, then y. I put in there 4, 4, and 8, 6. Now, to find the equation from here in the table building, delta y, the change in y, plus 2. Delta x, the change in x, plus 4. Delta y divided by delta x, 2 over 4, you reduce it, that's 1/2. There is your slope. That's your m. And in a table, remember, we've got m, the slope, times x, plus or minus b, the y-intercept. If I put 1/2 in there, I could have 1/2 times 4. Well, what's 1/2 times 4? What's half of 4? 2. What do you have to do to 2 to get to 4? Add 2. Well, does it work for this one? Half of 8 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. My equation becomes y equals 1/2 x plus 2. Same thing we did by using the graph. We just use this table right here, and you can do it both ways and find the same answer. Here's number 8. Take a minute and find number 8, whether you do it with the graph or a table, and find your equation in slope-intercept form. The first thing you should do by looking at this problem is, I'm going to figure out what the slope is. Well, actually, that's a lie. Let me find my ordered pairs. That'll help me. I've got -1, -6. The other ordered pair they have is 3, 10. Okay, so if you want to find it from the graph, I'm going, let's see, up 6, up 10, so that's up 16, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, over 4. Up 16 and over 4, 16 divided by 4 is 4. That's my slope. I need to find my y-intercept. Now, this is the same as 4 over 1, telling me to go up 4 to the right 1. So I start at my point and I go up 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right 1. Ding, 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 ding. Oops. My y-intercept is 0, 0, negative 2. So my equation is y equals 4x minus 2. That's what you should have come up with. Now remember, you can do this in a table as well. As I go and I build my table, I have -1, -6, and 3, 10. Remember, x then y. Delta y, the change in y, plus 16. Delta x, plus 4. 16 over 4 is 4. mx plus b. 4 goes here in the beginning. Now, I know the first one says -1. I don't tend to like my negatives, so I'll jump down here to the 3. And I take 4 times 3 and get 12. I subtract off 2. That gives me 10. So my equation is y equals 4x minus 2. So you're able to do that both ways. All right, number 9. It's already got the table built for you. Please find the equation in slope-intercept form. All right, first thing you're supposed to do, find delta y, the change in y. This is plus 8, and then it goes up to plus 16. Remember, you have to do your delta x's. Plus 2 and plus 4. So I get delta y divided by delta x. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. That is my slope. I know my equation is going to start off y equals 4x. I just have to figure out what the last part is, what my y-intercept is. Sometimes when these tables are built or made so small right here, it's easier to spread it out and make it a little bigger one so you have the process column in there. I'm just going to put one of my points in there because it should work for any of them. So first is, remember, m is my slope. So I'm going to put my 4 times my x, which is 1. Well, now I need to find my y-intercept. What do I add or subtract? So 4 times 1 is 4. What do I have to add or subtract to 4 to get to 6? Plus 2. So my equation is 4x plus 2. You should, to know if you're right, put it in the calculator, go to y equals, put in there 4x plus 2, press second graph, and make sure that table's in there. All right, try it again with number 10, please. All right, step 1. Delta y, the change in y, plus 9 plus 6. Delta x plus 12 and plus 8. So I get 9 over 12. If you put it in the calculator, 9 divides 12, math, enter, enter, it will reduce it because 3 divides into all those, and that is 3/4. 6 over 8, divide both of those by 2, 3/4. My slope is, so we start off with y equals 3/4 x. Now we need to find the y-intercept. Now, when I go to build my table, out of my points, I normally choose the points that are positive. I like that better. Do you have to use that one? No, but I'm going to use 12/5. So I have m, which is 3/4. So I'm going to take 3/4 times 12. Now, if you don't know what that is, put in your calculator, parentheses, 3, divide 4, parentheses, parentheses 12. And when you go through and do that, that will give you 9. So as I multiply that together, I get 9. What do you have to do to 9? What do you have to add or subtract to get to 5? I have to subtract 4. So my equation becomes 3/4 x minus 4. Again, put it in the calculator, second graph, and make sure that that's the correct points. Okay, now holy moly, look at this. This thing has this W parentheses 2 equals 5. I mean, what the heck is going on? We found this on last year's EOC test, so we need to start trying to figure out different ways that they write things. Basically, your X number is what's in the parentheses. Your Y number is what it's equal to. So right here, this where it says W parentheses 2 equals 5. In the parentheses is the 2. So the X number is 2. The Y number is what it's equal to. So you have the 0.25. On this next one, inside the parentheses is your X. -1. Your Y number is that other one is -1. Now that you have your ordered pairs, please come up with the equations. Right now, build a table and find out your equation. So what you were supposed to do is build a table and put in your X and your Y numbers to where I have 2, 5 and -1, -1. Delta Y, the change in Y, -6. Delta X, going down, that's -3. Delta Y over delta X, -6 over -3, that's +2. So my slope is 2. So now I have 2 times X. Oops, there we go. 2 times 2. That's all positive, so I'll stick with that. 2 times 2 is 4. What do you have to add or subtract to get to 5? +1. So your equation is Y equals 2X plus 1. Again, when you put that in the calculator, second graph, you should be able to find those points. All right, so let's look at number 12. Same type of thing. Right here. First question is, what do you need to do in order to write it as an ordered pair? Well, remember that you see that inside the parentheses is the X. So I've got my X number and my Y number. X number and my Y number. So I have 4, -11, -2, 13. All right, now go ahead and build your table. Put your points in there, and a little crooked. 4, -11, and -2, 13. Please find the equation of this, of the line containing these 2 points. So to find this one, delta Y, the change in Y. Oh, what is that? That is 24. Delta X, -6. Delta Y over delta X, 24 over -6 gives me -4. That's my slope. So -4. Now I take it times my X. I've got my 4 and -2. Doesn't matter which one you do because I'm trying to figure out my y-intercept. I'm going to multiply -4 times -2 and I get a +8. What do I have to add or subtract to 8 to get to 13? +5. So my equation becomes y equals -4x plus 5. Now, all of this was a review from what we've done in the past. Now there's another formula, which is point slope. Point slope formula. Or point slope form, however, we'll do point slope form. I'll give you the formula in just a minute. All right. So at the top of your paper, where it has the blank, it says point slope form. What that equation is, and that's on your formula chart you get for your test, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay? You write your equation in point slope form when they give you the slope and they only give you 1 point. All right, write down the formula. Now remember, the other thing that was up there in the blank was the slope intercept. You guys should already know slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And let's explain that here in just a second. All right, so let me go back. Oh, okay. So I need, let's see if I can pull this up here. Well, come on. There we go. Okay, so on your example number 1, we are given the slope of 2 and the point 46. What we have to do is, here's our formula that you should have written down. You will put the slope right here. Slope is 2. You will put that in there for m. That goes here. Then you have your x number, which is 4. Oops, I used the blue color. I meant to use the green. And you're just going to substitute it in here for x, right here. And then the y is the 6. And you're going to plug it in. This right here is point slope form. See, because from point slope form, we actually will be able to rearrange it and move it into slope intercept form. So let's look at that in just a second. So on your papers, you guys should have this written down for number 1. Number 2 gives you the example of a slope of 2/3 and a point of negative 1/3. So I'm going to take and put this into my formula. And by doing that, 2/3 goes in here where m is. We're going to look and see, here's my x. That's going to go right there. So I'm going to have y minus y1, my 3, equals m, which is 2/3. That first x stays there, and it says minus x1. Well, x1 is negative 1. Now, what you need to notice is that what's different from the first one is that this is minus a negative. When it's minus a negative, it changes it to positive. So here would be what our equation is in point slope form. Y minus 3 equals 2/3 x plus 1, because a negative times a negative makes it become a positive. You should have both of those examples written down on your paper for number 1 and number 2. So let's look at number 3. Number 3 gives us the slope and the x1 and y1. So now what we're going to do is just put the correct numbers in the right spot. So first off, I know that this slope, this is my m. Then I have my x and my y. So negative 3 goes right here. My y number, that 8, goes up there in the beginning. And then x1 comes down here. All I do is put those numbers in those positions, substitute it into my problem, and that's my equation. This is point slope form. Now, there's a reason why we do it, and I'm gonna let you see in just a few minutes why that is. So take a second and do number 4. Put it into point slope form. So on number 4, my slope is 1/2. That goes in front of the parentheses. I have x and I have y. Let's see, x1 and y1. So I have y minus 7 equals 1/2 parentheses. X minus. Now, minus, that's a -1. You need to realize that here I've got y minus 7 equals 1/2 x minus a negative. A negative times a negative is a positive 1. That changes to +1 when you write it into point slope form. Okay. Now, here are the next two. Try and write those in point slope form, please. Now, number 1, y, and it says y minus y1. Here's my y1 right here. So it's minus -4 equals 2/3 the slope times x minus x1, which is 3. Now, minus a negative, this should be y plus 4 equals 2/3 x minus 3. This is your equation in point slope form, right there. The next one, y minus, well, here's y1 right there. So y minus 5 equals m, which is 2, the slope is 2, x minus x1, which is 0. Now, you also could get rid of that 0 and just have y minus 5 equals 2 times x. Okay, because when there's a 0, just nothing happens. Now, one of the reasons you go through and do this is that usually when we're writing equations, they're in slope-intercept form. So what we're going to do is practice changing the equations we put into point-slope form into slope-intercept form, which should be really easy. So right here, looking at example 1, first thing I need to do on solving equations is I need to do the distributive property, parentheses. On your paper, you should have those little arrows drawn up there, or little rainbow things to help you. I have y minus 6. That stays the same. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times -4, -8. So all I did was do the multiplying. Now, to get it into slope-intercept form, remember, that's y equals mx plus b. We got to get y by itself. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to add 6 to each side. And I get y equals 2x minus 2. Right here, there it is. I know that my slope is 2 and my y-intercept is 0, -2. Now I can graph it. If you look at example number 6, I want to write this into slope-intercept form. So the first thing I do is the distributive property is the parentheses, and I'm going to multiply these right here. So I'm going to bring down y minus 3 equals, I have 2/3 x. 2/3 times 1 is plus 2/3. Now, all I need to do is add 3 and move it to the other side. I get y equals 2/3 x. And then I'm adding 2/3 and 3. Well, I'm just going to write it as 3 and 2/3. It's not a very fun number, a very nice number. But that at least can tell me that my slope is 2/3 and my y-intercept is 0 and 3 2/3. All right. Let's go back here. First thing. So on that number 3 right there, would you please change that into slope-intercept form, just like what we just did on the last two? Do that now, please. So on this one, first thing I'm going to do is the parentheses and do my multiplying. So I have y minus 3 equals negative 4x minus 4. Now all I need to do is add 3 to each side. And I get y equals negative 4x minus 1. There's my equation. Number 4, it wants you to write this information into point-slope form and into slope-intercept form. So the first thing you need to do is change this and write it into point-slope form. Once you get it like that, like number 3 over here, then we can move it around and move it into slope-intercept form. Please do that now. So as I write it, I have y minus y1, which is 4, equals my slope, negative 2/3 x minus x1, which is 1. There it is in point slope form. Then to rewrite it in slope intercept, I'm going to do my distributive property. I have y minus 4 equals negative 2/3 x plus 2/3. You need to add 4 to each side. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4 2/3. Not very friendly, but it's still the slope-intercept form. So now it asks you to find the equation in slope-intercept form, and it gives you two ordered pairs. So in this case, step 1 would be to find the slope. One way you can do it, well, there's two different ways you can do it. You can do it by the table, where you go delta y over delta x and you get the slope, or the formula for slope, which is y2 minus y1. Remember, we've got x1, y1, x2, y2. So you have y2 minus y1. So I've got 4 minus 5. So that gives you negative 1. Then x2 minus x1, which gives me 8 minus 4, which is 4, which is the same as what you're doing here. Because see, this is your delta y, the change in y, over your change in x. Delta y over delta x. So once you find your slope, now you can use the point formula. And what they did was they picked their slope. So you have your slope was negative 1/4, and you can choose either one of the points. They chose 4, 5. So then they were able to substitute in, and you have y minus y1, which is 5, equals negative 1/4 times x minus 4, sorry, right there. Step 3, whoa, where'd my pen go? There we go. There we go. Step 3, you can go through and you can solve for y in order to put it now. Right here is slope intercept form. So let's try this next one. Right here, okay, so right here when you have your 2 points. The other way you can do it is by doing your table. See, like over here on this one, we went through and did the point slope formula by finding the slope and substituting it and solving for y. But then you could just go through and do all of your stuff in your table like we have in the past. So you go through and you find your slope, delta y over delta x. Then you'll come over here. Oh, I got to put it up in here. Let's see here. There we go. Then I would come up after I found my slope, put it in my process column, and I'd take 3/2 times 2, which gives me 3. What do you have to do to 3 to get to -2? Well, you have to add a -5. So then you would come up with your equation. Let me move this all up so we can see it. Oh, don't want to do that. All right, maybe it'll move. There we go. And we can come up with our equation from our table building. So you can use either way in order to find it. Find your equation. Now, do problems work any differently if you're given intercepts, a table, or a graph? No, because they all have points. So why don't we go through now on these two, and I want you to try and find the equation of the line. I want you to use, actually, let's do this. Let's go through here, and let's find the equation in slope-intercept. Slope-intercept form. That's y equals mx plus b. So if I go through and do that, I'm going to build my table. I'm going to do this one by table building. I'm going to put -3, 0, and 0, 5. Well, delta y, the change in y, is 5. Delta x, the change in x, is 3. Delta y over delta x is 5 over 3. So the slope goes here. 5/3, 5/3. Then I take it times my x, -3, and 0, and plus or minus the y-intercept. Well, I like 0 because anything times 0 is 0. What do you have to do to 0 to get to 5? Add 5. So my equation is y equals 5/3 x plus 5. You can do them this way, or I can go through here. All I need to do is find my slope. This time, instead of delta y over delta x, I'm going to use a slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to label my points. I've got x1, y1, x2, y2. So I have 3 minus 0 over 0 minus 9. That's 3 over -9. When you reduce it, that's -1/3. Now see, when you have the intercepts, it's easy because there's my slope and here's my y-intercept. So I can write my equation, y equals -1/3 x plus 3. That's my equation when I'm given intercepts.